The art of management as a phrase is something of a cliche, has very little to do with the world of art, of performing art, of art that you would go and see at an art gallery. But according to some leading thinkers in the world of management, art actually has a great deal to teach the world of management. One of those thinkers is Professor Clive Holtham of Cass Business School. It's been something that's been preoccupying him for a number of years. He even runs courses on this here at Cass. I asked him to explain to me what art could teach managers.
Well, I think we've got to go back a step, really, and look at the tension that's in all of us between our rational side, the left brain, and our more intuitive side, which is the right brain. And I think it's fair to say that management education since World War II has been completely dominated by the left brain rational dimension. So a few years ago, a number of us put our heads together and thought, well, what would it mean if we were to have a business school that placed much more importance on the right brain? Not, of course, because we want to do away with the left brain, the rational side, but because really to be an effective manager, you need to have both of these things together. So we came up with the idea that we needed a thread of our research and indeed our teaching, which was actually looking at management through the lens of the fine arts.
It's not just you now, is it? This is starting to catch on as an important new way of thinking about the world of management.
Very much so. Of course, when you start out on these sorts of things, you think you're the first. And we were certainly amongst a very small number of leaders. But there were other people who had been doing it as well. And one of the things that's happened over the last 10 years has been a growth of a movement called the Art of Management Conference. And those conferences have now been held for about 8 to 10 years, every 2 years. And the numbers have grown and the quality and range of the papers has grown tremendously. So it really is quite a strong new area of management research.
There are very few business schools that actually teach this, though. Cass is one of the few that do. So what do students learn?
Well, I'd say, first of all, this is not a subject we teach. The art of management is something you can learn, but it can't be taught in a conventional didactic sense. So the first thing we did was we created a new MBA elective called the Business Mystery, which we now subtitle The Art of Management. And that works on very different principles to a typical MBA course. There are no lectures. There might be a few minutes of briefing, but essentially it's completely experiential, completely activity-based.
So give me an idea of the sort of activities.
Well, if we take the last time the course ran, the first week's activity was on the theme architecture, and it coincided with the Le Corbusier exhibition at the Barbican. So we started here in Cass with a short briefing from the architect of this building, Julian Lipscomb, giving a brief update about how far architecture is an art or a science. Then he took us on a walk through the Barbican. So we did some learning by walking about. He was a tour guide for the Barbican. And then we spent 2.5 hours setting our students assignments in the Le Corbusier exhibition. So they had to go out as explorers into the world of architecture and come back with lessons for the world of management.
You've also visited a recording studio.
Yes. In that same module, one of our themes was composition, and we took the students to the Premises recording studio where
That's a big one.
Tom Jones has recorded, Lily Allen, and so on. In fact, we were there the same day as the Kaiser Chiefs were recording. So it said Cass Business School Studio 1, Kaiser Chiefs Studio 2. And David Stoll, who's a professional composer, but also someone who can draw out of ordinary people their musical skills, set us the task of composing and performing a piece of music in 3 hours. And we had rather unusual instruments. These were not typical orchestral instruments, but everybody, me included, because, by the way, the other thing is that the lecturers are also students on the course. So we do the coursework and participate in the sessions. So all of us had never believed we could possibly compose and perform music in 3 hours.
It all sounds like great fun, but what are the actual lessons that you learn, the real lessons that can be applied to the world of business?
Well, the first thing is that the lessons are not obvious ones. So, for example, we're very resistant to the idea of the Henry V School of Management. The idea that by reading Shakespeare you can kind of magically pick up lessons about management. We're very skeptical about that view. We think this is much more about us as managers extending our own lenses onto management, seeing management through new eyes, through the eyes of other disciplines, and as a result rethinking our own perception of management. So it's not about, if you like, art as a kind of management tool. It's really about art helping us to perceive things differently. So if going to a recording studio, a lot of that was about quite, working to deadlines, being good enough, performing, all words that we use in business, but also words that are important. But we didn't want to get a conductor of a symphony orchestra on to lecture us on that. It's only by doing it, enacting it, that you can really internalize it. And so this course has had very high ratings. I think a lot of the reason for the ratings is it helps us all reorganize our own experience.
Yes, I was going to ask, MBA students are notoriously hard-nosed. What do they make of this course?
Well, first of all, the course has attracted people who are naturally perhaps right-brain dominated. We found, for example, one year a lot of the people had art A-levels or had studied theatre and so on. We actually believe that the course is more valuable for the left-brain people. I mean, I'm an accountant. I'm from a classic left-brain background. We had a very good investment banker one year who said that she found the course incredibly difficult but that was why she took it. She took it because she knew that there was this more intuitive side of management, which none of her academic education or professional education had prepared her for. So she saw it as really as the way I see it myself, an opportunity to remedy a gap that is there in conventional professional development. So I actually think the people who get the biggest gain are the people from the much more rational background, whose eyes are opened up and, for example, given confidence in things that they have never touched in school.
Professor Clive Holtham, thank you very much.